In 1983, a hunter named Richard Daley went into the mountains of Idaho, USA, to hunt deer. He was riding his horse with his neighbor when suddenly a violent snowstorm hit them. Within minutes, they found themselves trapped in the middle of freezing snow and brutal cold, far away from any help. Then, something horrifying happened. Daley watched as his horse died from the extreme conditions, and with his own body beginning to lose heat, he did something that sounds almost unbelievable. He opened the body of the dead horse and crawled inside it, using whatever warmth was still left in the animal to keep himself alive. He survived for several long hours until rescuers finally reached him. His incredible story was reported by major American newspapers at the time. But here's the question that inspired this video. What if I told you that the basic idea Daley used wasn't completely new? Humans may have been using similar survival principles tens of thousands of years ago, not as a desperate one-time solution, but as part of an entire way of life built around surviving extreme cold. Today, we're going to uncover some of the strangest and most extreme survival methods ancient humans used to survive the Ice Age.
But surviving the Ice Age wasn't just about finding shelter. The first weapon ancient humans had against the cold was fire. But not in the simple way you might imagine. It wasn't just about creating a spark, lighting a fire, and calling it a day. Fire had to become part of their daily routine. It needed to stay alive around the clock. Someone had to watch it, someone had to feed it, and someone had to make sure it never completely went out. Because if a fire died in the middle of a freezing snowstorm, starting another one might not be easy at all. And in those conditions, losing the fire could mean getting dangerously close to death. Fire wasn't only a source of warmth. It was also used for cooking, and it could help keep dangerous predators away during the night. But there was something else happening around that fire. It became the place where the entire family gathered. People could sit together, share food, stay warm, and pass stories and knowledge from one generation to the next. In a very real sense, one of the earliest warm homes humans had wasn't a wall or a roof. It was a carefully guarded fire. But ancient humans didn't stop at fire. They eventually learned that survival in extreme cold also depended on something much closer to home: food.
And ancient humans didn't stop at fire. They learned that food itself could become another weapon against the cold. Archaeological evidence from Kesem Cave suggests that humans were storing animal bones, preserving the nutrient-rich marrow inside them so it could be consumed later. This meant they didn't always have to risk going out hunting during the worst weather. But there was another problem. In extreme cold, the human body needs more energy to keep its internal temperature stable. And that meant calories could literally become a matter of survival. This is one reason large, fatty animals were so valuable. Animals like mammoths didn't just provide meat. Their bodies contained huge amounts of fat that could provide concentrated energy when food was difficult to find. But even fire and food weren't enough when temperatures dropped far below freezing. Humans also needed protection from the wind. And this is where Ice Age architecture gets really strange. At Mezerich, in modern-day Ukraine, archaeologists discovered structures built from hundreds of mammoth bones and tusks covered with animal hides. These weren't just piles of bones. They were carefully arranged shelters designed to create a protected living space in one of the harshest environments humans had ever inhabited. Imagine stepping inside one of these structures during an Ice Age winter. Outside, freezing winds and snow. Inside, a fire, food, animal hides, and a group of humans trying to stay alive.
But there was still one major part of the body that needed protection: the human body itself. But the real breakthrough came with something surprisingly small: the needle. Some of the oldest-eyed needles date back around 40,000 years. With them, humans could stitch animal skins tightly together, creating warmer clothing that blocked the freezing wind. But Neanderthals adapted differently. Their compact, muscular bodies may have helped them conserve heat in the same brutal Ice Age environment. And then comes the strangest theory of all. Some researchers have suggested that ancient humans may have entered a state resembling hibernation during the harshest winters, slowing their bodies down to save energy. But this idea is still highly controversial, and scientists don't know if humans ever truly hibernated. What we do know is that our ancestors survived through fire, food, shelters, clothing, adaptation, and cooperation. And that brings us back to Richard Daley. When he used his dead horse to survive a freezing storm, he was doing what humans have always done, using whatever they have, thinking differently, and refusing to give up. Our ancestors survived a world that could kill them in minutes, and somehow they made it through. That's why you're here.